Yeah, I think you have to accept it. Do you see pop-up?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Okay. All right. So here's my plan. I wanted to start talking to you about the onboarding plan, the personal onboarding. Start framing the 30, 60, 90-day plan and do the first pass at the quick introduction.
Okay.
I wanted to have another meeting this week, the one I had to reschedule from, I think Friday, so that you have time to review the materials I will send you after the meeting, frame your onboarding plan, and make it take another step at the intro, and then we can review it later this week before your day start date gets to close.
Okay.
So how does Thursday work for you, if at all?
Thursday does not work well. Friday maybe work.
Friday will have to be early, like 9, 8 or 9. But that's okay.
Okay.
Actually, 9. Can be even later, maybe 10:30.
Yeah, sounds good.
All right. I will send you an invite.
Yeah. We're basically in Tahoe, so this week. This is why it's Friday.
How's Tahoe?
Yeah.
Is the weather?
Beautiful. Not too warm, not too hot, not too cold.
It's been a while since I've been to Tahoe. Should start planning.
Yeah.
I'm going on a astrophotography meetup on Friday night. It's the peak of the Perseid meteor shower, and I'm going to some like remote location in central.
That's funny.
Yeah. Okay, so onboarding plan, intro prep, and then we will meet to review the stuff on Friday. So let me just maybe speak for 10-15 minutes. So the onboarding is comes in 2 flavors. There is a corporate onboarding and there is a personal onboarding. The corporate onboarding is usually well defined in large companies. It's you just get onto the track and then you just go on, and it has specific steps to take, and it's all kind of pre-designed for you. But the goal of that is to get you up and running and enabled, but it doesn't really do much in terms of your personal success and understanding your personal success and getting on the same page with people. Some companies are better at it than others, but generally speaking, this is something that you own, ideally with your direct manager. So it's not something that HR is responsible for. So the first 3 days would be probably company orientation. There will be some maybe half a day or something. Sometimes it's the full day orientation, describe with, if it's a large enough group joining on that day. I don't know how many new employees they hire, probably enough because it's a large company. So there will be somebody who will describe the company mission, values, culture. You will be provided with an org chart, handbook, which is not really fascinating reading. Laptop, logins, everything is meeting with IT if needed. So that's how you get busy the first 3 days. When was the last time you started a brand new role in a brand new company?
6 years ago.
So
6 years ago.
yeah, so things changed since then, not profoundly, but definitely different speed. From there, you start working on your own onboarding process. The most important one is the meet and greet. And I will share the document with you, and I also will walk through a sample onboarding that I created for myself. So don't worry about taking notes, or take notes if you makes you feel more in control. So the first, you will probably have a meeting scheduled with your boss, especially since you're traveling soon. But I strongly recommend scheduling one-on-one meetings with your direct team members. It can be a 30-minute introductory meeting, but it strongly suggests that it's a structured meeting that you actually schedule on the calendar.
What meeting? With whom?
With people on your team. So your immediate team. Whatever is the definition of that. I don't know if you have a small group or you're embedded in a larger team, but there will be people, this would be the people that you will be working with on a day-to-day basis.
Okay.
Okay, so that's the immediate team. And I recommend doing it as a scheduled meeting because it's much more efficient and effective, and you can follow a template that we will discuss that will serve several purposes. One, you will introduce yourself using the intro elevator pitch that we will develop. You will get to know the person, again, giving them some time to talk about themselves, which is, and you can take notes, which is much better than doing something ad hoc as a flyby. You will learn about the person, and then there are two questions that I find are extremely effective. Question number one, and you can frame it in the way that makes sense to you in your personality, but I usually ask the question, and I recommend my clients do that. What you're trying to get at is the pain points that the person is experiencing. What are the problems in their day-to-day work? What are the friction points? So the question can sound like if you had a magic wand and you could change 3 things in the company or in the team, what would these 3 things be? By doing that, you're immediately beginning to uncover the possible landmines that you would otherwise not learn about until you maybe even stepped on one. It's also important to understand what people find important, right? So you're asking them about 3 things that are most important for them to change. Whether or not they're changeable is irrelevant. That's why the magic wand comes in. If you had that unique opportunity to change with no consideration for cost, resources, or anything, just the 3 wishes, what would that be? So that would start giving an indication of what is important to the person. And it's interesting because some people will start talking about their personal environment, like they would like, you know, better work environment, better equipment, faster network. Some people will talk about company culture and company strategy, management, products, customers. So that's just important to start writing down, and just make sure to capture it in notes. The top 3 things. It can be 5, but no more than that, because then it becomes diluted. So the 3 to 5 things that they find could benefit from some changes or improvements. And the second question to ask is, in my new role, I'm joining this group, I'm joining this team in my new role. What can I do to make your life easier? Or at least not make it harder? So that's an introduction to start talking about the mode of engagement with this person. How would they want to be engaging with you, and how you can align your goals and objectives, so you don't get into the situation where you come to them for help and they are not available because they have different priorities. It also opens you up as a person of help, which I know you are, just based on our prior conversations. Does that make sense?
Yep. Yeah.
It may sound a little bit kind of whimsical, but you can put it in whatever terms you want. But it's establishing trust and rapport from the very beginning. Like, you are there to solve problems. You are the troubleshooter. You're there to solve problems. You may not be in a position to solve problems, but you will know that the problems exist early on. So you will start building strategy how to work around those problems, or perhaps fix them. So that's super important. If you don't do that, you will find about it sooner or later, but then you will have probably stepped into a ditch.
Monday I start. So next Monday, 14, I will be at KLA. It will be a first day. And then I may take maybe a couple of days. They wanted me on Monday because they have Monday scheduled for general incoming day for newcomers.
Yeah.
And the next Monday after that, I will be on my flight, kind of, to Germany with my boss and a few.
So you will have a week on the ground before you get on the road.
Yeah, that's about right. Few working days.
Okay. So that's good. You may be able to squeeze in some meetings. You may not. You'll play it by ear, but this scheduled one-on-ones is the foundation of your future relationship with your coworkers, and it's the way for them to get to know you in a relaxed one-on-one manner, and not just in the all hands introduction, which is what people usually do. So learning about people, about their role responsibilities, how they collaborate, which is also very important. Discuss current projects, team dynamics from their perspective, and notes. Just keep taking notes. I forgot to ask you, is your position remote or on site?
Hybrid.
Hybrid, okay.
Yeah, 3 days. Right now it's 3 days on site, 2 days at home, and it maybe I will require to be more on site, maybe not, but yeah, my position, yeah.
If possible, it's better to do these meetings face to face in person, just because of the body language and all those elements that are lost in translation on Zoom.
They use Zoom, by the way.
Yeah.
It's interesting. More than Teams that been used by our company, but that's the way they use.
I personally prefer Zoom. It's more robust. And also much more cross-platform, because Teams is more of a Microsoft thing. Well, it is a Microsoft thing. So the meet and greet, so we're building relationship with your peers. Then product and technology overview. I'm sure somebody is already planning that, so you don't have to go.
What is it? Meaning?
Product and technology. This is something that your manager probably is planning or should be planning. So you check in with him how the training is done, and whether they have a formal training, whether it's done in parallel with customer training. Sometimes they sign you up to go sit side by side with customers and customer training, but it's a deep dive into the company product, services, technologies, documentation, white papers, technical resources. You are a technical person, so I don't see any problems, but it's important to keep track of that as well. And then customer understanding that goes later in the first 30 days. But in your visit to Germany, are you meeting customers or just the co-workers?
No, we meet supplier,
Okay.
main supplier, who is part of developing part of the system that we as a group responsible, and we're going to. I need to go and check or hold the, I mean, the real agenda and what are the goals. But from what I remember, it was a meeting one of the partners who manufacture some main portion of the system, and go and accept it or go through the some functional tests, basically to check if it's how it perform versus what versus requirements.
How different is their technology from what you have been working with?
Well, technology is this new technology for me. I need to spend time to educate myself. So I need to go into the details. I do know some principles, but this is a new area for me. I never design or build system for that particular area, so I need to get familiar and learn about it.
Is your role customer facing at all?
No, not at all.
Okay.
It's a new prototype or something, so the customer is internal. So you know, we from what I understand, we building one of I think it's prototype number 2 or something, or even number 1, that is within the internal tests, and it's far away to be ready to ship or to even to show to any customer. So it's internal customer and will be tested internally.
Okay.
Basically, it's a subsystem of the bigger system, so it need to work with other system together. So once we test it and check it, it need to be shipped here from Germany and be part of the bigger system that other groups who responsible for other parts and other systems and maybe other technologies like software or that will create a bigger system works. So our group responsible for kind of platform. It's a chamber, robots. We need to make sure.
But eventually it will be sold to customers.
Eventually, one of the systems that after the changes that it will be sold.
Okay. My recommendation is, and it will not be high on the 30, 60, 90-day priority, but still is to get to know customers, like understand what the customers, what are they going to do with your product, how they're going to be using it, what are their pain points, even though you're not directly interacting with the customers, but in your work as an engineer, it's always helpful to have an idea of the potential customer in mind when you make the decisions. Understanding who they are and what their expectations are. There is nothing more, what's the right word, disappointing than having a group of engineers design something in the conference room without ever talking to a live customer or even understanding how the customers will be doing it. So It's just a good practice to understand the customers, whatever your position in the company is, even if you're not directly selling or supporting the customers. But given that it's an early phase prototype, it's not high on the priority list, but I would recommend to keep it on the list anyway. Okay, so let me see if I would need to rework this document before I share it with you so that it's more likely closely aligned with your role. But sometime within the first 30 days, I hope there is your boss is already planning to have a conversation with you about goals, objectives, and success measures.
I have no idea, but
if-
hopefully. So
yeah,
what
well,
is it?
so it's the setting goals.
Mhm.
It's collaborating with the manager to find clear goals and expectations for your role. In my last corporate job, I discovered that nobody on my team ever had any goals scheduled or set up by their manager. So they were kind of completely flying blind. They had no idea if what they're doing is what's expected, how they're being measured, how they're being promoted. And it was a fairly large company, but they just didn't have the culture that got people on the same page with the rest of the team and with the managers defining the goals and agreeing on the goals. And then people would be surprised at the review time and they would get not the score they were hoping for because they were not meeting the unarticulated expectations of the managers. So the getting together with the manager and defining your goals is a critical step, and that really deserves a separate time. So we will talk about this in one of the following meetings. In this section, we will be talking about building a relationship with your manager. But it's the key to your success. That's where you can succeed or fail, because you can do the best possible job ever, but if your manager doesn't agree with it or understand what you're doing or doesn't have the same expectations, it can be dangerous. And I know you already have a pre-existing relationship, which is great, but
Yeah, I
it
have pretty
doesn't
good relationship.
but it does not preclude you from having something set. Plus things change and managers move, so it's just a good work hygiene to set it and have it in writing and have an agreement, and then have the regular check-ins to make sure that you're on track.
Yeah, at the beginning, this role that is more that I'm going to fulfill this time at KLA is more down to technical,
Mhm.
much more technical rather than manageable.
Mhm.
And I will have none reporting to me, and I will be the position is sounds like senior mechanical system engineer or something like that.
Mhm.
And although I will be doing some project management tasks, working with suppliers, working with other team, right, and helping team to put things in together, maybe coordinating things. But it's a much more technical role rather than a managerial role in terms of the what I was been using to or used to work late last 20 years or so. So that's another challenge for me because I was a long time I was the one who was designing things, or I don't think they expect me to do design by myself, but I need to be able to also be look on the design. So I need to also, there is a aspect that I need to check and verify that CAD, and I need to have all the licenses and to be able to maybe to use the right tools to see the designs. And but it's okay.
Yeah, I'm sure that somebody is already planning that, given that it's a large, well-organized company. But My point is more about making sure that you're crystal clear with your manager what your success looks like. Like if you're
Yeah,
doing a great job, what will you hear from him? And if you are not, if you're feeling lost in some area, which can happen just because it's a new area for you, how will you know that you are stepping aside from like the main path?
so I know him and a few team members that then been part of my interview.
Mm-hmm.
So they will be the obvious candidates for one-on-one or
Yeah.
discussion.
So just it's exceptionally easy to not to kind of misread the culture of the group early on. It becomes really clear. Maybe it's different for different people. For me personally, when I start a new company as a full-time in a full-time role, it's the time to proficiency is 3 months. Like in 3 months, it feels like I've always been there, intimately familiar with um, the systems, the processes, people, and not necessarily in the deeper enough technical level that takes time. Just feeling at home is the main thing. But some people take 6 months, some people feel at home 3 weeks. But making sure that you're always keeping in touch with your manager and seeking feedback. And that brings me to the next point. It's defining the feedback loop with your manager. How will you know, right? How will you know that you're doing well? How will you know what is the expectation? How will you know that you are being helpful to other people on the team? Remember, we will have these conversations about what can I do to make your lives easier. Well, are you? Like, how are you progressing on that? You don't have management responsibilities, but there is also, of course, the technical leadership. And this is something that you already bring to the table, and the company can greatly benefit from that. So keep that in mind as you're building your personal onboarding plan.
Yeah,
Yeah, go ahead.
just a second. I've been thinking, well, what you think about with the next week when I will be at KLA on Monday because they've been very um, limited to unveil and open to all the details and things about the project I should be. And now once I part of KLA and officially on Monday, I do open to and can start to collect and understand any information I need. I've been thinking that by this week will be nice for me to have a high level map of I see it in two layers. One is the project goal, right? So I basically would like to see what are the overall goal, what we're doing, what we're building as a high level system, and then to the smaller pieces. It's called in project management is in my word, it's called WBS or work breakdown structure. That defining the scopes of the works of the it can be done in different ways in a subsystem or in areas, but doesn't matter what. But I would like to understand ways the piece I'm working with the group and how this piece going to the whole system and what are the goals in terms of timing and requirements. That will be one goal for me to build, like put a puzzle or WBS or whatever. And second is the map people. So like you said, start with the org chart and basically build who the people I work in, and then like you mentioned, maybe it will be good to plan one-on-one with those people, and who other groups, because
Right.
we are a small part, right? And I will be or somehow interacting with other groups. So this type of plan I would like to build as well.
And that's I will be getting to that. It's actually on my draft. Just make sure that I'm not missing something. I will rework it so that it's more relevant to you and send it to you, but let me
And by the way, with Michael and my boss, so we will do have also. So with him also you suggest to obviously have like one-on-one scheduled, like weekly or something
yes.
like that.
Mhm. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And don't let him off the hook. Sometimes one-on-ones are the first things that are being canceled when other priorities come, but you cannot be flying blind. You need to be getting constant feedback from your manager. And if they are not offering it, you can ask for it. Tell me, so I've been here for a week, or I've been here for 3 weeks. How do you think I'm doing? Is this something I should be doing more or less of? What I hearing from people? Is there somebody or some area I should be focusing more to make sure that that relationship is solid from the beginning? It's so much easier to build it from ground up the right
I
way,
see.
trying to redo it later on.
Yeah, I never been emphasizing in my career this type of kind of very insistent, communication when I ask for feedback. Yeah,
It's a muscle. It's very uncomfortable for the first time because you're afraid maybe of like hearing something that will not be complimentary, but it usually is not. But it will give you so much more solid ground than just assuming something.
how
I had
about
it,
yeah,
go ahead.
manager of my manager, because
Just skip.
he was a part of interview,
Yep.
and even I met with him 2 times because he liked me
Mhm,
in terms of what I can bring on the table in terms of skills and
mhm,
maybe personality. At least I have
mhm.
feel that way.
Yeah.
And he was also struggling in other areas of different group. He has like big, relatively big amount of groups like Michael,
Mhm,
like my
mhm.
my friend slash manager, and he was thinking maybe to use my skills in other areas, in other
There we
groups,
go.
and
That's your technical
Michael
leadership right there. Uh, it
and
would be great if you could establish a cadence of skip level one-on-ones. It depends on the culture. When I was in a leadership role, I had a weekly one-on-ones with my direct reports. I had 5 managers working for me, just as an example. But I also had skip level with everybody on the team. Depending on the size of the team, I would meet with them monthly, sometimes quarterly, if it's like 500 people, but still, it's super important. Ask your manager if it would be advisable for you to request such skip levels, and then ask.
skip levels, meaning with his manager, right?
Yes, yes, you're skipping your boss and you're going one level up. It is a really good relationship building experience. It allows you to give them an opportunity to experience your technical leadership. And he would be the perfect person to ask the questions about the magic wand and what are they, how can you help to make him successful. So having that feedback loop is also critically important. Um, I don't want to waste time in our conversation, but I just as an example, I had early on in my career, I had a person that to me came across as overly critical. Like no matter what I said or presented, she would always find something to comment on and make a correction. We were peers on the leadership team, but she owned several critical customers, and she was just I felt like she's like nitpicking. And it got to the point where I could like barely be in the same room with her. It was just so aggravating. And we had, at some point it became so hard that I decided I need to do something. So I invited her to have a drinks after work, like happy hour. And I said, when you give me this minute feedback, it makes me question my own value to the company and to the group. And she said, oh, and it makes me difficult to focus on this. Oh my God, no, I would not have been giving you this feedback if I didn't think that everything was already great. I just wanted you to be like exceptional. So I was trying to be helpful. And it's like, oh my God, to me, it came across as being just completely.
Like
So
he was like too criticized,
right,
or that's what you know.
right.
Yeah, I see.
And if I didn't ask for feedback and clear the air, it would have been.
I see.
So it's super important to, and from then on, I have this rule of asking for direct feedback from everybody that I'm working with. So it doesn't go on for months and months, and then you discover something that didn't expect. So that's the summary. Let me share this. Let me see if you see a PowerPoint.
Yep.
Okay. All right. So this is a draft. I just used it as an example of an onboarding system that I built for myself when I was starting a job some time ago. So this is the 90 days. So I have this framework, and this is also something that I built for all my direct reports, and I offer my consulting clients. So there are 4 steps. One is forging personal network, gain operational familiarity, synthesize and apply new knowledge. So that's the framework. And then after each of those elements, there are specific tasks, and they will evolve as you move along in your onboarding process. I don't want to waste any time reading it to you. You can read it yourself. I will send it to you after some revisions. But
just English question. Forge is like to build,
yes, yep.
To build. Yeah. Okay. Gotcha.
It's like, the blacksmith forges a.
Forge is I think it's forging is steel is like pressing or something or manufacturing. No.
Yeah, it is. It comes
Like
from
punching or pressing or forging. No, or maybe.
Forging comes from the blacksmithing at the кузнец.
Yeah. Exactly.
Ковать.
Yeah.
Означает, как по-русски странно звучит.
Ковка.
Ковка, да. Ковка этих вот
Металла.
relationship, да.
Понятно. О, понятно.
Ну, потому что because you have to build it, you have to forge it. It's solid. You don't just let it somehow happen, because it will not happen the way it could be if you give it thought. So you have to think about this. Just building. You can also say building personal network, but I think it's more powerful word to use this forge. So there are this 4 elements. It's and notice that I'm starting with people, because it's always people, process, tools. That should be the priority. You get your work done through people, even though your work is exceptionally technical. You still work with and through people, whether it's the suppliers, your teammates, your adjacent groups. So you start with building the personal network. That's your key to success. Then you get operational familiarity. You learn, and you're like a sponge, absorbing information. And at first you may feel overwhelmed, because there's just so much new stuff coming at you. It's like drinking from the fire hose. But if you let that kind of flow over you and start writing questions as you encounter something new, you will begin acquiring things through osmosis. And things that you wrote down as a question on your day 1, all of a sudden you will understand 6 days later what that actually means and what that stands for. But just keeping track of that is important. And that's you synthesize and apply new knowledge in your actual work. So this is the framework. The first 3 days are usually the already pre-designed. So you would meet the team. There will be maybe an introduction email or some other sort of a formal introduction to the team.
I already received the computer.
Okay.
So they're waiting for, and I received, I think it's a PowerPoint, like welcome to Rapid. Rapid is the name of the business unit that we're working in.
Awesome.
So I need to go through this.
So that's, you can jump start on that, so you don't have to wait for day one, so you can already start doing it. But understand, meeting the team on like the high level, getting the org chart, equipment, benefits, and all that is being taken care of. And then hopefully by then you will have created your own 90-day plan, and it would be great for you to sit down with your manager and discuss it, so you're on the same page. Initial
So
focus.
basically to talk with my manager about 90 days
Yes.
days plan, right? Okay.
Yeah, and depending on his style, some people are super informal and they will be thrown off if you were to come in with a PowerPoint. Some people are, and in that case, you can just narrate it or put it in a Google Doc or something, bullet points. Some people are prefer to consume information in a formal, structured manner. It's easier for them, so they will actually welcome something more structured. And it's you need to figure out which one it is, and the best way to figure out is to ask.
Okay, yeah, that's what I've been thinking when you mentioned it. So ask what are the ways of communication.
Right. That's one of the key conversations you will have with your manager, is what is the best communication method when I work with you. But we will talk about it when we talk about the manager. This is a prep work that you want to have in hand when you, hopefully within the first week, ideally before, well, probably not before you start, but within the first week. So this is the structured plan that I'm talking about. This is like at a glance. In a way, you can think of it as a like personal WBS. It's your personal breakdown, but the swim lanes are the first 30 days, 30, 60. And it will be different for you. I was in a, because you don't have a direct administrative responsibilities for team, some elements will not apply to you, but this is just putting a different angle, lens on what I already talked about in making connections, building relationships, learning specifics, business, customer, products, agreeing expectations and projects with the manager, which is key to success. I will keep emphasizing this, and then regular one-on-ones as needed. So the way I structure this is you have the date, time horizon, you have the action that to be taken during this onboarding, and you have the outcomes. So at the end of this first 30 days, what are the outcomes that you should be expecting? And your manager, you will have met the team, you have the basic understanding of the business, products, customers, you begin to understand corporate culture and leadership principles. This is all subject to discussion. Like this is, if it makes sense to you, given the size of the team, your responsibilities, and you also would like to get your manager's buy-in. Like, does he expect you to be at this stage in 30 days or 60, 90s? What are the expectations? But it's important to have those expectations articulated. Then moving on further in time, we have 30 to 60 days, additional learning priorities as you're learning your product and your area, what other adjacent technologies and
that's clear. Nice looking plan.
Yeah.
That's great.
obtaining clarity in relations with your manager, direct peers. I will leave it for you to read. I don't need to recite it. Ask me immediately if you have any questions, if something doesn't make sense, just like we discussed the forge.
And you will how you will communicate this to me? Is it will be in attachment or in this folder that you shared, or
Well, sorry, folder would be easier, just to drop stuff there if
okay,
it's working for you.
Yeah,
Rather than just spending bandwidth on emailing stuff back and forth.
okay,
And if you have a question, you can just comment on the document and I will be notified. I will put it, it's in a PowerPoint, but I'll put it in Google Slides format.
okay.
So this is a template. So it will not be the same for you. You just need to start thinking about it. And you have several.
But I would like to have this as a.
Yes, I will get it to you at the latest tomorrow morning. I will try today, but I have another 2 meetings after this one.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah, because it's helped me to
Yeah.
to modify and
yeah.
use it.
It's yours to keep. Make it your own. You can just redo it, but when we talk next time, I would like to review it. And if you can send it to me or let me know
Okay,
if you're done reviewing, editing online, I can.
absolutely.
So just like another way of slicing the first 30 days, you have your lines are dependent on what your travel,
I see.
right?
Okay,
But
that makes sense.
putting it into a calendar that will be separate from your actual calendar, just as a reminder to yourself.
Okay.
So that's your little milestones to hit. In the getting to know the team, we have your primary connections, manager, HR, IT, admin support, people to go to with questions, and then
I understand. That's basically the structure, right?
right. Direct reports, face-to-face meetings with the team. Okay, well, here is this any additional contacts. That's the snowball. I think I have, yeah, here. So getting to know the team, I already talked about this. So it's the magic wand question. How can I help? And then we get to the snowball. So in each conversation you have, ask them, who do they think you should be meeting also?
I see.
Right, that's the snowball. And then when you meet that other person, they will give you more names, and that's how you build your snowball from little ball to the big snowman. Right, that's a snowball. So you're building this thing as you go along. You start with a core of 5-6 people, but each of them will start suggesting names. Hopefully a lot of these names will be the same, but eventually you will get to a very solid picture. It's a network map, right? You were talking about mapping people. In sociology, it's called network map. Just like you have network nodes in the network, you have people nodes in the network map. And
when I meet with one-on-one or with my manager, maybe I can talk to him on Monday. So I should ask what the first because we are going to be in a business trip next the week after, right? And maybe it will be wise to ask what are the priority who we will suggest this week to meet, must meet for me, so I can a little bit more prepared for the visit.
Right. And it's not obviously not just asking for names, it's asking for the context for the person. What is that person's role? What are their priorities? What are their success measures? And what's the best way to build relationships with this person? Because it will be different. I have this summarize in 3 to 4 weeks point, which is also very important. As you're meeting with people and you're building your snowball, at some point you will run out of new people, right? So you will have met most of the people that you will be working closely with. That's and in each meeting you're creating this list of wishes, how you can help, other notes. So in 3 to 4 weeks, you will have enough material to summarize it. And that will be a very interesting exercise because you do the roll up of comments of every individual person and you can assign themes. And all of a sudden you have your really good vision of what is important for your success. You will have to review it and revisit it and update it. But in 3 to 4 weeks, you can come to your manager and say, well, here's how I understand my role. And here's how I fit with the rest of the organization. And here is important connections that I have made. Tell me, is that there's anything else I should be adding, right? But just having this structure will be tremendously helpful to you. So just start building it right away. Priority topics, I will just leave it for you to read.
One additional thing is I will ask Michael, my boss, maybe even this week. We do message to each other, even now, right? Because we're friends. But maybe he can just invite me to meetings that he think it's really important for me to even start as a listener.
Yeah.
I will not maybe, but it will definitely like at least to start like this shower of information that later I will understand better.
I would recommend trying to not get invited to any meetings in the first week. The first week would be for you to meet people and start figuring out technology and the platforms. The moment you are sucked into the meetings, you'll start getting action items. And you will not be in a position to really contribute to the meeting because it's still so new that it's really
understand.
Not a good use of time. For my direct reports, I like literally prohibited them from accepting any meetings in the first 2 weeks, just so you know.
And
and if they complain, say that it's like your boss keeps you under the law.
But what then instead you insist on having one-on-ones?
Yes, one-on-ones. Yeah, I'm talking about like big meetings, team meetings. One-on-ones definitely, but not like the regular ops meetings or whatever your operating mechanisms are. It will be overwhelming. You will not have a lot to contribute. And it's just not a good use of time. You can, if the meetings are recorded, you can review them. Okay.
Yeah, I will ask if what is the policy if they record or not these meetings. It's interesting.
Ideally, if they're using Zoom, they of course have the professional version and it comes with transcript. So I'm not a big fan of reviewing videos, as I already mentioned, but the transcripts are super helpful. And if you use ChatGPT or any other AI tools, it can help with summarization. Okay, so that's it. I was hoping to be able to get to your introduction, but I will leave it to you to start drafting. So as of, just imagine you just schedule this one-on-one meeting. And how would you introduce yourself? Don't write it down. If you can record it on Zoom, that like on a Zoom meeting with yourself, that would be.
So is it will be like general version, tell me about yourself kind of things? Like
yes.
On an interview?
Yeah. So
1 minute or so?
Yeah, I am, well, it can be more. I am here, I'm new, I'm super excited about studying this job and I'm looking forward to working with you. But first, don't start with yourself. You ask them to talk about themselves. So tell me a little bit about yourself. Tell me about your role in the company? How did you get there? What, your background, your interests. I always ask on those first introductory meetings is what keeps you up at night? Like, what are the big, it's kind of an extension of the magic wand. But the first is introduction, like they will take maybe 5 minutes to talk about themselves. Then you talk for about 5 minutes. And then you start asking this additional questions about the magic wand and what keeps them up at night, and how can you be of help, and how they see their success, and what is their preferred method of communication. So that's plenty for 30 minutes. You don't have to keep yourself to a minute, but it's not a campaign speech either. I would say maybe 2 or 3 minutes.
Okay.
But see if you can just impromptu record something, then
Okay.
listen to yourself, adapt. And if you can send me something, whether it's a recording or a text that I can review before our next meeting, that would be great. I just want to offload as much of the work that you can do on your own without taking time on the call.
Okay. I
Okay.
will.
Sounds good. Okay.
Sounds great. Thank you
I
very
will
much.
work on this stuff, and I will let you know when I'm dropping something. I think you will get notification if there's a new document added, but I will ping you.
Okay.
All right. Enjoy Tahoe, and we
thank
will
you very
talk
much.
on Friday. Okay.
Yeah, I have only one quick question
Yes.
about. So yesterday was like introductory screening talk with ASML. There is a company, and I applied for when I've been looking, and they called and saying, "Okay, Alexey," and as I asked, "What is my expectation for salary?" and I said, I don't have an expectation right now. It depends on my level of responsibility, and I don't know much about. I even don't want to talk about that at all.
Yeah.
That's my point, and so what are the rules you suggest?
You never give a number. Never give a number.
Never give a number. Okay.
There is also a like well-established psychological negotiation technique that proves that the person who gives the number first loses, because they're anchoring to that number instead of the number. The way I coach people to answer is that it's not about the number. It's about aside from the fact that it's a total compensation package, it's really about.
Yeah, they said like the basic. Tell me if to make sure that we're not losing time here. I said, I wanted to say something, but my wife was saying no. Yeah, don't.
You can
say
give
something.
a range if you're
range is okay. Yeah.
yeah, but a range has to be like.
But I like what you said that that whoever give a first number lose. It's funny.
It's a proven fact.
It's fact. Okay, okay. I'll try not to give to be first who give the number.
But there are elegant way of.
I understand. No, I mean that's what I felt. I mean, I don't want to talk about numbers when there is other much more important question is not covered at all. So that was my point. I mean, without any psychological, games.
No, but you intuitively feel it, and one way
exactly.
to answer it is like, I'm in a senior enough position, so like, the 1K here or there is not going to make it to break it. To me, more important is to make a contribution and to be doing a meaningful work, and work with the people that I respect and trust, and have an ability to grow and learn. That's the key, and that's, from what I understand about you, that's exactly what it is.
That's exactly right.
So don't get.
Okay. Yeah. Tomorrow I have a meeting with them, so we will see.
Okay. All right. Well, I will.
All right. Well, thank you very much, and it was very, very, interesting. So I will work on that. Waiting.
Okay. All right. Take care.
And we need to put the exact time for Friday.
Yes. I think I said double check.
You said a little bit later, like 10 o'clock or 9:30 or something.
Yeah.
So let me know or send me
10
invite
o'clock,
when.
10 will be fine. I just need to
Okay.
drive to like central coast area, but
Okay. Friday 10 a.m. Okay, sounds
okay.
good.
All right.
But there will be invite, right?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very
Okay.
much.
All right. Okay. Take
Have a
care.
good evening. Yeah,
Bye-bye.
thank you.